早安，早安！开场一样，喜欢我们直播，欢迎点赞、订阅、开小铃铛，然后一起来直播上面聊天哦。今天要打这个没看过的战役，是这个阿卡德的萨尔贡，是苏美尔人的战役，所以我们现在看一下苏美尔人吧。噔噔，第一个是村民的生命值加15，哎呦，就是有织布的村民。第二个特色是投石车的系列攻击速度加45%。第三个是农田的食物加125，所以农田可以吃比较久。第四个是骆驼的远程护甲加1，然后团队加成是城镇中心的费用减25%。来看一下军事建筑吧，军营的话是接近全满的啦，有给他常见兵。但我看到这边有学院的嘛，学院也有这个更强的剑兵，所以基本上军营就不会玩。射箭场的话有坠落的工兵，然后战车工兵跟马弓骑兵，还有重装马弓骑兵，步工兵没办法升级嘛。所以主力应该是这个战车工兵，后来可以转这个马弓骑兵。那 BK 的话完全没有弩炮，然后取代的是这个超级强的投石车。马厩的话也是很 OK 的哦，战车系都有，包括刀人战车，然后有给到特别强的骆驼骑兵，然后学院就是都有开啦，但是没有什么特异功能。然后少了3级攻击力，其他都有啊。步兵没有远防，所以我觉得他其他步兵系也不强。城门、城墙跟塔都有，4级没有3级射。政府中心也是全满的，圣殿的话几乎都没有，僧侣不太能玩。海军的话也没有攻城的战舰，其他都有这样子。阿卡德的萨尔贡第一关是天选之人，国。
The ways of the gods are incomprehensible. Far more predictable is the path walked by a man who considers himself a god. So too it was for Sargon.The greatest conqueror Mesopotamia has ever known. Like the legendary shepherd that founded our great city, Sargon seemed to have descended from heaven, a grown man, crafted by the gods to rule the world. But while his true origins remain a mystery, his earthly story began here, in Kish.A place so beautiful that even the lustrous words of the poets cannot do it justice. Back when I, Ushar, was still a man of youthful strength, Kish was ruled by Urzababa. If the gods had molded Sargon from clouds and ether, Urzababa was made from common clay. Nothing about him was exceptional.Save for his fondness for fine food, extravagant clothes, and luxurious wine. Urzababa had appointed Sargon as his cupbearer, and the shy, unassuming adolescent served him wine and kept him company in many a lonely hour. Yet, unbeknownst to the king, Sargon was plagued by a strange, recurring dream. Ishtar, the goddess of war,appeared to Sargon in his sleep and promised him extraordinary things. One day, she said, he would be king not only of Kish, but of all the land between the Euphrates and the Tigris. Not realizing the weight of his words, Sargon told his master of the dream, and the king turned pale.Had the boy who served him every day truly been chosen by the goddess of war? Urzababa could not allow this prophecy to come true. He banished Sargon to the desert, and in doing so, he convinced Sargon that the goddess had spoken truly. Yet banishment was not enough for the frightened king. He soon sent Kish's most vigorous warriors to ambush his former confidant among the dunes. I was one of those men. As a smith, I was the strongest, and when Urzababa ordered me to swap my hammer for a sword, I accepted, but not without hesitation. By now, the tale of the banished servant and his dreams had spread far beyond the royal palace. Many who suffered under Urzababa's rule saw Sargon as a savior. When I finally caught up with him at a remote well, he was resting in the shade. I left my sword in its scabbard and faced a man who showed no fear. In his mind, he was no longer a simple servant. He was indeed Ishtar's chosen one.
第一个是萨尔贡跟乌沙尔要活的。青铜时代就是城堡时代，75人口，不能见码头。他们有高生命值，可以抵抗野生动物，还有敌人快攻，然后可以产出更多的食物，农田的部分。然后效忠这个乌尔扎巴巴的祭司领导着这个西帕尔跟博尔西帕，摧毁他们圣殿，而且要在他们的原地盖一个自己的圣殿，就可以说服他们加入我们。获得基地之后，不要迟疑，把萨尔贡投入战斗。受伤之后会撤退到圣殿，被赶出基舍之后，萨尔贡流浪几天找到泉水，还有流浪者出现，他是朋友还是敌人呢？那乌尔扎巴巴对流放兵不满意，找了一些步兵工兵暗杀他。乌尔扎巴巴本人住在首都基舍，那我们必须要攻击 Kish。有这个西帕尔跟博尔西帕，绿色跟紫色效忠这个祭司。
Zababa has sent assassins to kill me? How would you know that if you are not one of them yourself? You are perceptive, Sargon. I understand why Urzababa fears you so much, but there is no time to talk. Let me prove my loyalty to you.
There is the traitor called Sargon. What are you waiting for, Shah? Help us hunt down the renegade.
Abadakis.
Urzababa will send more assassins. We cannot stay here. But I know of 2 villages where we could hide for a while.
好的。
Taste of death is upon my lips. All is lost.
As we entered the royal palace in Kish, I swelled with joy and pride. Sargon had triumphed, and it seemed that this man blessed by Ishtar was truly invincible. Yet in my quiet moments, I wondered if it would ever have come to this if Urzababa had not expelled Sargon. Had we fulfilled a prophecy? Or had a simple dream become prophecy, only after the fearful king sealed his own fate? Dreams and oracles, visions and prophecies, it seems that these mysterious forces can be as dangerous to those who believe in them as they are to those who ignore them.
那我们第2关咯，神的旨意。
Our soldiers often wondered where Sargon had actually come from. Some believed that he had descended from heaven, like the founder of Kish. Others said that he was an orphan who had been found in a basket floating on the Euphrates. I have even heard some townsmen say that he was the son of a priestess who had given birth without having ever lain with a man. Sargon only smiled at these rumors. He said that it does not matter where a man comes from, only where he goes, and that he himself follows the path that Ishtar shows him. That path led to war. With Kish subdued, Sargon sent his army to conquer the countless city-states of Mesopotamia in Ishtar's name. The masters of these cities scoffed at Sargon's ambitions, yet secretly, they all feared him. In order to match Sargon's army, they joined forces under the leadership of Lugal Zagesi, the priest killer. He was a brutal man, feared for his atrocities across the region. He would often desecrate the temples of the cities that he conquered. Yet, he was a capable tactician and a gifted commander, a suitable challenge for Ishtar's champion.
好，要把生物带到紫色、绿色、青色、红色的标记区域。一样青铜，然后75，所以我们一样打战车跟骆驼吧，不用消灭他们，只要把生物带给他们就可以了。好，产生生物必须要驱逐广场内的驻军。地图随处可见小聚落建立4级，他们就向我进攻，还要派遣士兵跟舰塔防守。好，保护谷物。可以在战斗中使用萨贡击败乌尔扎巴巴之后，萨贡统计 Kish， 然后要攻击这个刚刚讲的这个牧师杀手的城邦。东部有苏萨， 南部有尼泊尔，西南部有伊辛，南方有拉扎。橘色是巡逻这样子。
The city-states of Mesopotamia lie before us. They are loyal to Lugal Zagizi, but they will follow Ishtar's call after seeing her artifact.
The artifact has come to Larsa. Its residents, common farmers and rich merchants alike are equally.
这个一台车也可以，你们知道吗？一台车加一个士兵就可以了。他们刚刚没有打我啊。
After several bloody campaigns, the enemy coalition was crushed. The goddess of war may have enjoyed the slaughter, yet I shuddered at the piles of bodies that we left behind in her name. Still, our mission was not over. Ishtar had promised Sargon all of the land that lies between the two great rivers. But as long as Lugal Zagizi remained at large, Sargon's claim to hegemony would be challenged. As the tyrant fled southwards, our soldiers pursued him to his well-fortified capital of Uruk. There, holed up behind its walls, he began scheming once more.
预言。
Once, as Lugal Zagizi was burning down a temple, a dying priest uttered with his last ragged breath, "The blood of the innocent will be paid for by the blood of the one." Not one to ignore a second prophecy, Sargon took the priest's words to heart when reports of them reached his ears. They became a mantra that our soldiers echoed as we marched on Uruk. We knew that Ishtar would guide our way and grant us victory once more.
好，要打死这个卢加尔扎克西，70人口可以上帝王了，不用摧毁郡城，打死他本人就可以了。那乌鲁克是戒备森严的城市，侦查乡村，寻找可摧毁的外围目标，有很多支线，尽量使用萨攻。在伊醒获得的盟友非常可靠，但他们需要知道你如何为你效命。敌方大象对士兵来说非常致命，但是他们怕招降。我们集结起来了。乌鲁克在西边有骆驼、投石手跟剑士，橘色躲在深处，有希腊步兵跟复合工兵保护。郊外也有这个先锋部队，红色。附近的村庄为乌鲁克提供食物，消灭这些村庄。好，新的盟友青色带来一支骆驼骑兵的战车跟投石器组成的军队来支援他。南边是乌尔，其野心勃勃的石匠可能比其强大的军队更危险。
It is time to end Lugal Zagizi's reign of terror and unite Mesopotamia. Uruk shall belong to a rightful king, not a corrupt desecrator of temples.
他们除了马弓还有第二颗金弩炮。哦，对了，好菜啊！我进来射了，我走了。
When we captured Lugal Zagizi, we did not kill him right away. Forcing him into a yoke like a common criminal, we paraded him all across Sargon's new kingdom. We took him as far as Lagash, within whose ruins the dying priest had pronounced his prophecy. The evil defiler looked old and frail as he knelt in the temple ruins for his execution. His death ended the age of kings that had guided the fortunes of Mesopotamia for centuries. Now it was up to Sargon to shape his new empire, and it soon became apparent that he had ambitious plans. Plans that chilled my blood.
君王之地，出发。
Despite not having been groomed for rule, Sargon had a natural talent for kingship. He built his new capital of Akkad to the north of Sumer, sending his new subordinates a powerful message. He would not follow the traditions established by past kings. No, this was truly a new beginning. An enormous court soon surrounded Sargon. more than 1,000 servants, priests, scholars, and soldiers populated the king's palace, and they all had to be fed and paid. Sargon therefore turned his sights on neighboring kingdoms. Once, dominion of Mesopotamia had been the sum of his ambitions. But Sargon had changed. The larger his entourage grew, the more he pushed his old companions away. And the greater the riches he amassed, the greedier the flickering in his eyes seemed to me. He hardly spoke of the goddess of war anymore. He no longer visited her temples, nor offered her sacrifices. It seemed that as his power grew, Sargon forgot to whom he owed his throne. And now, as he rallied his armies to conquer the kingdom of Elam, he tempted her wrath.
那我们这次任务是要打败埃兰，然后阿卡德人跟胡里安人都不能被击败。阿卡德人跟胡里安人，这个青色跟绿色，75人口可以到帝王，村民很少，无法训练村民。阿卡德会对我提供劳工，胡里安人会给我资源，但是要派兵支援他们两个这样子。竞争激烈，波斯湾可能是额外食物来源，但要保卫渔船。我们在波斯湾的南湾准备进攻埃兰，阿卡德会提供村民。胡里安会提供支援，埃兰在东部，然后有战车弓箭手跟重装骑兵，强大的海军部队。沿海城镇紫色受到埃兰海战骚扰，把埃兰舰队处理掉之后，他就可以变成盟友这样子。投喽！
The few who have escaped our hails of arrows flee into the desert to hide. Victory is ours.
Can a mortal being of flesh and blood become a god? I asked myself this question more and more often as we embarked on a brutal campaign of conquest through lands so distant that I would never have imagined visiting them. The divine will, which Sargon once received and taught his followers, was now indistinguishable from his own. He made it abundantly clear that his will was to enlarge his empire, whatever the cost. I was not the only one who noticed our king's change of character. Discontent brewed among the population. Many of the soldiers, tired and spent from constant campaigns, harbored thoughts of treason. Sargon did not seem to notice his people's growing distrust. Caught up in his own world where friend and foe alike gave way to him, he was already planning his next conquest, a campaign that would lead us even deeper into darkness. 下一关，苏巴图。Blood, sweat, tears, and the stench of burning bodies accompanied us on our way east. And it was not long before my fears came true. Barely had we crossed into the kingdom of Subartu when our people took up arms in rebellion. After years of grandiose campaigns, they were sick of the exorbitant taxes that Sargon levied to fund his wars. When I shared the bad news with Sargon, I hoped that he would see reason and accept that he had taken things too far. But the hateful glare in his eyes suggested the opposite. 第一个是等待指示，第二个是100人口不用完全歼灭敌人，夺取跟防御巨石结构就可以了。盟军派系占领的废墟也算是我的。叛军不满统治，占领一些聚落，加以处理。胡里安人比较不情愿向阿卡德帝国提供军事援助，但时间就证明他们多么值得信赖。刚刚已经很值得信赖了。反正建立庞大的军队，准备入侵苏巴图，有众多的村民跟资源建造营地。东部是苏巴图，青色现在被征召入伍了，原本是提供军事、经济与捐助，现在主要部署投石车、骆驼骑士跟战车。叛军黄色占领的几个村庄灰色，曾经效忠萨贡，由剑兵、战车弓箭手跟弩炮组成。
如果阿卡德帝国夺回上面的村庄的话，就会交由橘色管理。有一些这个马弓手在东北部漫游。
A new era dawns. Conquer the monuments of the past and carve my name on them. The name of your god, Sargon.
碰到了。
Mesopotamia is not enough.
Shit.
The divine realm of Sargon will continue to grow. I shall walk the ruins of Sabartu, and its people will kneel before me.
Can a mortal being of flesh and blood become a god? The answer is no. No matter how much power a man attains, anyone who towers too far above others is doomed to fall in the end. Sargon was the king of kings, the most powerful man that had ever walked the earth. His empire, the first that mankind had ever seen. In the temples, Sargon had replaced the statues of the gods with statues of himself. And now, truly believed that he was divine. Yet I had seen him bleed. I sought him out after the sack of Subartu, only to find him standing atop a mountain of gold and corpses, precious stones passing through his fingers. He did not listen when I told him that this madness had to end. Once, I left my sword in its scabbard to spare the man who would be my king. But things were different this time. This was no man standing in front of me. No deity. It was an evil demon from the underworld, striding the earth to claim the souls of the innocent. I then remembered the prophetic words. The blood of the innocent will be paid for by the blood of the one. I plunged my blade deep into Sargon's chest. As he stared at me with wide eyes, a strange, wicked smile appeared on his face. Even in the face of death, Sargon never ceased believing in his own immortality. I have no such delusions. As old age withers my once supple frame, I welcome the journey to the afterlife, satisfied that no more innocent blood will be spilled in the name of this false god. Yet, I fear Sargon's legacy. The vices of power and a desire for divinity can inspire grim changes in even the most noble of men. I can only pray that for every haughty Sargon, there will be a humble Ushar, guided not by delusions of grandeur, but by a simple conscience of what is right and what is wrong.
那我们今天直播到这边，喜欢我们直播欢迎点赞、订阅、开小铃铛，然后一起来直播上面聊天哦。